Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about a particular event from our recent history that has been forgotten through decades. But before doing so, let me show you something. Have you ever seen this image? He's Elne, a baby who was found dead in 2015 in a Turkish shore. He and his family were Syrian refugees trying to reach Europe amid the European refugee crisis that is still on. But did you know that something really similar happened at the end of the Spanish Civil War? The last days of the war in Catalonia were a real ordeal for Republican troops in retreat and for much of the population. A wave of exiles pressed the French border. It was January 1939, and the defeated ones of the Civil War were escorted for each mountain pass, for each road entrance along the road. There were so many people fleeing, it seemed that Catalonia would be empty forever. They all walked silently, without thinking. They just wanted to cross the line, and the instinct of survival pushed them forward. On the 27th, the passage was allowed to the civil population and the wounded. In the following days, the great exiles crossed. In a short 3 weeks, a total of 465,000 people crossed the border. Shortly after, once they arrived in France, many of them were interned in concentration camps in Argelès, Saint-Séverin, Barcarès, Set-Fons, among others. There, the conditions were deplorable. For many refugees, admission was the start of another nightmare. Hunger, thirst, cold, and contempt for the. In that context, pregnant women had many difficulties in bringing their children to the world, and that they survived. The child mortality rate exceeded the figure of 95%. The hospital of Saint Louis of Perpignan was saturated, and the administration prioritized the wounded and ill before the midwives. Consequently, the pregnant women were driven to the stables of the heirs. There, with total lack of health guarantees, in the middle of manure and straw, babies were born, and then mother and son were returned to the concentration camp without establishing any postpartum protocol that would ensure minimal survival of newborns and mothers. But in 1939, something really extraordinary happened. La Maternitat d'Elne, the maternity home of Elne, opened in a small town of southeast France called Elne. In there, on December the 7th, 1939, Josep Molina was born. He was the first of the 597 babies from Spanish and Jewish families who were saved by maternity. The mothers entered 4 weeks before giving birth and returned to the field 4 weeks later. The internal operation of the center was quite simple. The same mothers, according to the physical condition, were in charge of the domestic housework, and for the health work there were 3 voluntary nurses of Swiss nationality, with pedagogical and health preparation, an external midwife, and an eventual doctor for the urgent cases. The maternity was in operation until 1944, when the Germans closed the service. The restored palace which housed the maternity was beautiful when cleaned and made habitable. At the lower garden level there were communal rooms, the laundry, kitchen, and storeroom. At ground level there was a grand room on one side where the women sat during the day, whilst on the other side there was the dining room. On the first floor there was the octagonal nursery facing south, the delivery room, and another room for those who had just given birth. But you may be wondering who had the idea of creating the maternity home. It was Elizabeth Heidenberg. Born on 12th of June 1913, Elizabeth, the daughter of a Zurich pastor, first taught in Switzerland and Denmark before she decided to join the Association to Aid Children in War, la Asociación de Ayuda a los Niños en Guerra. She arrived in Madrid on April 24, 1937 as a volunteer in an aid team, but soon relocated to the south of France. Appalled by the situation of mother and children amongst the Spanish refugees, ill-treated by the French authorities, she decided to convert an abandoned chateau into the maternity home. Here you have some images of this marvelous oasis amid the hellish situation that the Spanish refugees encountered in France.